Welcome to another edition of Islanders Insider. I'm Stephen King, and we're coming to you from the locker room once again today, as we're going to be talking some Islander men's basketball with head coach Willis Wilson, and be talking some Islander baseball with head coach Scott Malone. We also have a special feature coming up on Islander softball and the impact of this year's freshman class. We're going to start things off talking some hoops with the head coach, Coach Willis Wilson. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. Well, Coach, season has come to a close. You know, you started this season 3-10 and got on your way, ultimately improving to 18-16, finishing second in the Southland Conference regular season and going too deep in the postseason. What for you was the most rewarding or most meaningful moment or moments of this season?
You know, I think the most meaningful moment was the days in practice. If you go back, and as you touched on, we got off to such a rocky start early on. And I remember the looks on the faces of the guys, and just it could have been a time of desperation and little hope, but we had a group of guys that just kind of grinded it out every day, and we made a commitment in that month of December. If there's anything that really comes to mind that was a turning point to our season, was the days that we spent in December working on shooting the ball, working on our defense, and just primarily those two things. Our offensive execution has been pretty good throughout, but when January rolled around, our guys had a renewed sense of purpose and really took to heart that kind of cliche about having a new beginning. And the work that we put in December really paid off for us in January, especially in light of the fact that we were going on the road. I think 6 out of our first 8 conference games were on the road. And so it would have been easy for those guys to have a hopeless sort of attitude. But the guys just did a tremendous job of battling every day and making a commitment to be their best, worrying about things that was within their control. And sure enough, we were able to get things turned around.
Well, I mentioned the fact that you went too deep in the postseason. As a matter of fact, it was this past week when you were still on the court. You had 2 games in the collegeinsiders.com tournament, and the men's program, it was an unprecedented postseason, winning in the postseason. Moving forward, you had the win over Northern Colorado, followed by the second-round loss at Pacific. Now, kind of can you expand upon those 2 games?
Well, a couple things. We finished the season, I want to say we were 15-6 in our last 21 games. And so to have that kind of turnaround, I felt like we had really positive momentum going into the tournament, coming off a 7-game win streak. The conference tournament, we had earned that right to be in the semis, and did a great job. I mean, finishing second all alone in conference play. Once you get to postseason, it's kind of all bets are off. It's win or go home. There's no such thing as anything normal, and so we found ourselves in a great contest against Northern Colorado. And our guys, I thought we played extremely well. I thought we played some of the best basketball of the season. In particular, in the second half when we got behind, it was kind of that thing that we had seen from our guys all year long. There was no panic, no being alarmed about the situation. We just kind of chipped away and got on a roll, and we were able to pull out a nice win there. And then going from there to Pacific, we woke up the next morning after the Northern Colorado game thinking that we were coming back to Texas to play Sam Houston, only to find out that we were going out west to play Pacific. And it turned into an odyssey. It was a long road trip, and I think the bottom line, it was our guys were a little bit tired. And it wasn't that we played all that poorly. Pacific played a tremendous game. They played their best basketball game of the entire season was against us. And we just had a couple things that went against us, but I was really proud of the effort that our guys put in. And just one of those nights where we couldn't turn the corner.
Well, on your squad, of course, John Jordan, first-team All-Southland Conference selection, preseason and postseason, which was exceptional. Finished the year 14.5 a game, 5.4 assists a game. Was it 4.5 rebounds per game? 44% of his shots, 23 from 3, 69% from the line. How much are you expecting him in his senior season to grow statistically and as a leader?
The leadership part is coming. I mean, we see it every day. John's made such tremendous strides as a leader. And really taken the reins and been a lot more vocal this year. And he's kind of grown into his identity and that persona that you're looking for out of a leader. I think the statistical stuff is really important. The areas where he can make dramatic improvement can really help our ball club, especially going into next year with what we're adding in terms of pieces to the puzzle with Bryce Duvier and Joe Kilgore. The areas where I'd like to see John be more efficient is his field goal percentage, and that really increased the second half of the year, and in particular down the stretch, his numbers were much better from the field, and I think that's an area where he can continue to make progress. The free throw thing, he gets to the free throw line an awful lot, and in his career he's had a couple stretches where he's made 20 in a row, where he's made 21 in a row. And so if he can get on top of that aspect, I think that's just like putting money away in the bank for our team, where we can, instead of just winning games, we can kind of blow some games open, because we know he's a guy that's going to get to the free throw line late in ball games.
No doubt.
And he wants the ball in his hand. So I think that's a critical piece to statistically continue to improve. When
Coach Chadwick was with us last week, I asked him this question about what is the procedural situation for you guys now, and your entire staff, now that the season has concluded?
Great question. I think first and foremost, it's just you have to make a time period to decompress. You know, we have not been accustomed to going to postseason, so we're playing deeper into the year. If you look back the last few years, this time of year, we would have already been into our postseason program. But I think it's important for our guys to decompress. I think it's important for our coaches to kind of do some self-study and examine where we've been and what we've accomplished. And then we'll begin to build right away. I mean, we'll get our guys back in the weight room, and so let's slowly indoctrinate them back into the gym before the school year ends, just so they have a little bit of a foundation going into the summer. Big recruiting time for our staff. We are really hitting the pavement and beating the bushes to add a couple pieces that can be a difference for our club going into next year. I really expect that there will be some higher expectations, certainly higher than what we had a year ago, and so we've got to continue to get better, and you do that with what you do in the gym and what you do in recruiting.
Well, before we go, I wanted to say, and of course I'm very happy to make people aware that you were named a finalist for the Ben Jobe Award. And now this award, for people who may not know, recognizes the top minority college coach in all of Division I college basketball. First of all, congratulations. And secondly, I understand that Ben Jobe has been an important person in your life.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm really honored. I was real surprised to see that I was a finalist on that list. And I'm not one of those guys that gets caught up into awards, but Ben is a guy that I've known for a long time. His roots go way back. In fact, their family ties back to his days early on as a player and as a coach. And I had an uncle who was a college basketball coach at Jackson State back in the late 50s, early 60s, and a lot of guys that Coach Jobe was involved with over the years kind of came through my uncle's program, and so we've known each other for a long time. And he's been a very just an important guy in my career to kind of bounce things off of. And every year at the Final Four, he and I make a point to sit down and just visit. And he gives me great perspective, and I have just tremendous respect for him as a man and as a coach. And he's given me a lot of great guidance over the last 10, 15 years.
Once again, just want to congratulate you, and again, congratulations on the great season, and best of luck next year.
Well, it's been a fun ride. We're heading in the right direction, so our hope and plan is to build on what we've created from this season.
Willis Wilson, head coach of Islander men's basketball, joining us here in the locker room. When we come back with Islanders Insider, we have a special profile on Islanders softball and the impact of this new freshman class. That's coming up right here on Islanders Insider. Welcome back to Islanders Insider. At this time, we have a special feature brought to you by Teddy Medina on the impact of the Islander freshmen on Islander softball.
Coming into the season, Islander softball head coach Stephanie Hughes emphasized with the 6 freshmen that they all could earn a starting role.
Well, at the beginning, it was kind of up to anybody. Nobody really had the spot, and they told us, however you work over break and you come back, that's a spot that you can earn. So definitely worked hard over break, and she's just encouraged me. I know we've played some good teams. I've had some rough outings, but we're at this level now where teams are better, so it's going to happen.
Well, in the beginning of the season, I had fractured my hand, and now that I'm back with the team, I feel I can contribute with them and give them whatever I need to do for the coaches and for the team. Like right now, I am a utility player, so the coach has me in the outfield and the infield, wherever she needs me. And well, I feel that if she needs me in the outfield, I'll give her my 110%. If it's in the infield, I'll give her my 110%.
All right. Coming in as a freshman, I mean, Hughes wanted me to earn my spot and give it my all to be a starting position and give my all to the team and to her as a coach.
Coach Hughes was excited to finally get this class on campus as a show of her and her staff's hard recruiting efforts.
The freshmen this year have been waiting on this class for a while. Since we got hired, this was, we knew that we had to go out and get some players who can make an immediate impact on our season and on our program. We've got Liz, who's obviously has the most innings on the mound. She's really done a great job as far as getting experience early, and also at the plate, she's been swinging the bat really well. Just the other night we had 4 freshmen start in the starting lineup against Texas, and that's something that is just going to help them in the conference schedule. It's going to help them be more comfortable in every situation that they're in.
The group of freshmen have stepped up in a big way throughout the season and have delivered consistently in the classroom and on the field.
I think we've done good. We all came in and meshed pretty well, pretty fast with each other and with the rest of the team. And as a whole, as a big group of freshmen coming in, we all became really close really fast.
Us coming up as freshmen, we're expected to do a lot, and the seniors expect a lot out of us. And we like that when we're expected to have a lot because it makes us push more and show people out there that, yes, we're freshmen, but we can also play the game as in the higher level also.
For Islanders Insider, I'm Teddy Medina. We'll be right back.
What's Massage Envy Spa? For me, it's healthy, it's affordable. I mean, he always wants
pain relief.
Right. And I want a healthier complexion. And now we can get a customized massage or a healthy skin facial.
At a really good price.
At a great price. And nothing feels better than that.
Customized massages and healthy skin facials, all at the perfect price. Start a healthy routine today with Massage Envy Spa.
Go, you'll see.
Welcome back to Islanders Insider. It's now time to talk a little Islanders baseball with the head coach of the program, Coach Scott Malone. How you doing, sir?
Stephen, good to be here.
Great to have you. Now, of course, you're now in your 7th season with Texas A&M University of Corpus Christi, and you had your best results in the regular season, the Southland Conference regular season last year, finishing 2nd. Do you feel that there was some momentum from last year carrying into this year?
For sure. I think there's some balance. I mean, obviously there's momentum. The program is growing. I'm a true believer. Winning breeds more winning. Confidence breeds more confidence, and that's definitely running through our program. But again, you're losing good players. We lose 2 players to the MLB draft, and we lose another handful of seniors, some really talented kids. So there's a lot of turnover on this club too.
Also, you lost your lead assistant, Chris Ramirez. He left the program last year to take the head job at the University of Illinois Springfield. Now, how have the roles now for your staff changed?
Sure. Really excited for Chris and his family. One, the move takes him a lot closer to home and his first chance to be a head coach. So it makes you feel good that you're doing it the right way, that one of your guys is kind of primed and ready now to go run his own program. And the flip side of that, which is, again, another huge bonus for our program, the ability to promote from within, and just take every coach on the staff and move them up one, says a lot about the talent and the work ethic of the guys that have been on this staff the last couple of years. Marty Smith now is your head assistant coach, still running our pitchers. Brett Gips moves into a paid assistant role, and he takes over as the recruiting coordinator, doing an outstanding job, tireless work ethic, really good. And our young guy, Kenny Jackson, moves up to the volunteer spot and moves into the third base coaching box and tries to take over for Coach Ram over there and get us some runs scored.
You mentioned losing some of the kids. Last year's senior crew, you were loaded with a lot of pop. There was no doubt about that. A lot of home runs, a lot of extra base hits left with those guys. Now, you had to make a change in your philosophy about how you approach the game. Are we faster now because we're not necessarily looking for the long ball?
I think we rely on our team speed for sure. And as much as I say that, and I think we're doing a great job stealing bases, putting more pressure on the other team, I still think we can get better. You know, just playing a team like Southeast Louisiana, that's their bread and butter. And you saw this weekend how good their team speed was. I still think there's ways we can get better to put pressure on the other team, but it's coming. You know, Jordan Lee's doing some outstanding things. I think he's top 10 in the United States in stolen bases. I mean, really, really fun to watch the way he's starting to play the game easier. And there's kids on our roster that are getting older. Kyle Danford, Jordan Lee, Matt Danton. The game's starting to come easier to those guys, and they're starting to have a lot of success.
Two players, second baseman Cody Stevens and one of your starting pitchers, Trevor Belichick, were named to the Southern Conference preseason first team. Now, how have their seasons been to this point? Because coping with expectations can be a challenge in itself.
Sure. You know, I would tell you both those guys, I think, would probably agree with me if they were sitting here of, you know, boy, expectations really took off in a hurry, you know, escalated to really high levels. Watching Cody all fall, I'm thinking we may have the best position player in the league. Watching Trevor Belichick all fall, hey, we might have one of the one or two best starting pitchers in the league. And those guys probably aren't off to the starts that they wanted. I don't think either one of them's playing poorly. They're playing fine. But, you know, I think expectations were for those guys to have a cape on and be Superman and carry us, you know. But they'll get there. They'll be there in the second half for us, no doubt.
Now, returning with those guys you mentioned, Jordan Lee, Kyle Danford, Brandon Tierney, Russell Vaughn, Matt Danton, have they accepted their leadership roles, and do they lead vocally, or are they guys that lead by example?
Probably by example on this club. I think Russell Vaughn's your vocal leader. The catcher, I think it comes with, you know, the ruggedness of that position. He's got a little fire in him, and, you know, he'll show some leadership. I tried to pinch run for him the other night, and I think he told me no. I don't know if I've seen that in 17 years. No, I'm good. So, but that's, you know, that's what you get with seniors, and I love it. Hey, guy wants to be out there in a big spot. You got it, buddy. You're out there. So, you know, Brandon Tierney's a name you mentioned, a kid who's really playing over expectations. You know, he and Cody Stevens have now kind of flipped roles. Brandon's taken on that leadoff spot. Cody's moved down into an RBI spot, but Brandon's been so good getting on base, setting the table. He's really been huge for us this year, a big part of our offensive success.
I don't think I see people do it better than Tierney as far as that attack in the bunter, that one-handed play, that whip throw to first. I don't think many people have done it better.
You know, we've been lucky in my 7 years here. We've really defended third base really well, and Brandon Tierney's been another extension of that. He's been as good as anybody we've had. And, you know, I hate to even think this way, but, boy, we're going to miss him next year. We still got a long way to go, but, boy, I'm going to miss that guy next year. He's really good at third.
Talking about some of the names that return, some of the guys that are stepping up as leaders, but some new faces have popped up in Islander uniforms this season as well. We can't probably talk about all of them today, but who would you say are the top two to keep on your radar?
And Devin Scapira, you know, freshman walk-on, high-end academic guy, great kid. He is in the mold of Matt Danton, who was a freshman walk-on, high-end academic guy. You look at the way Danton's career has projected, you know, and you can only think, man, Devin Scapira may actually in a year or two be better than that guy, you know. So what he's given us as a freshman pitching on Sundays, you know, in our weekend rotation has been huge. And beyond him, probably Tyler Ware, hitting in the cleanup spot for most of the year, has had, you know, a handful of some big RBIs, some big hits, some game winners. You know, hits that have tied games up. So, and I think he'll get more confident as the year goes. The more he does it, the more he has success, the more confident he's going to be. So those two guys will be a big part of our success moving forward.
And we talked about the loss of some of the pop from last year. Well, Tyler Ware's definitely had some of that pop as well. And we saw one of the biggest home runs we ever saw at Chapman just recently as he went over into the parking lot. So I'll just call it that.
You know, this club's got as much left-handed power as we've ever had with Tyler Ware, Frankie Salas at first base, Dom Lopez first base and DH. Jordan Lee's got a little sneaky power, and you know Zach Gibson's going to get going. Those are some lefties that can really
Dawson
swing
Yates,
the bat.
exactly.
Dawson Yates, yeah, another guy who can really hit. So we've got some left-handed power. And you know it's coming. I think we're going to have a big second half to the season.
Now, the squad is 3-3 in conference play as of filming today, and also coming off a really good midweek game at UTSA, winning up there 6-1. How do you grade your progress so far?
You know, this club's probably a 7 You know, probably kind of hanging around expectations. I don't know that we've really put our foot on the gas per se, but you know, I told them after the game, because it's one day at a time, one game at a time, but I wanted them to see the big picture. That's 5 out of 7 now, you know, for us in the win column, and I wanted those guys to see how it's starting to turn, how we're starting to play the game downhill. It's starting to come easier to us. So, you know, so far a 7. Well, I'd love to be sitting here in a week and tell you about an 8, 8.5. So let's see how the next week goes. But I think the schedule's setting up for us. If we can continue to play at a high level, we're going to make a little run here.
Is this one of the deeper programs you've had as far as the pitching?
It is. You know, I spoke early in the year about depth in the bullpen, and let's be honest, the first month it wasn't there. Boy, now it's really coming. You know, last night, Caleb Keith, Jacob Doris, 2 guys on the back were unhittable, for lack of a better word, really good. And you're getting A.J. Flores going, Dalton Despain. Tyler Schnurger has been outstanding for the last 10 days. So now you're starting to see maybe there is some depth in that pen. Yeah, I didn't even mention his name, who's been outstanding this year. So, again, I think the second half of the season, we're going to see some good Islander baseball.
Looking forward to it. Head coach Scott Malone joining us here on Islanders Insider. Coach, good luck.
Thanks, Stephen.
Stay with us. When we come back, we'll bring you up to speed on what's next for Islanders Athletics. More to come on Islanders Insider. Welcome back once again to Islanders Insider. At this time, let's bring you up to speed on what's next for Islanders Athletics. The Islanders baseball team returns to Chapman Field this weekend for a 3-game series against Stephen F. Austin. The teams play Friday at 6, Saturday at 5, and Sunday at 1. The Islanders then face UTSA for the 3rd time this season on Tuesday, April 8th at 6 p.m., also at Chapman Field. Islanders softball is on the road this weekend as Stephanie Uza's squad heads to Thibodaux, Louisiana for a 3-game set against Nichols. The Islanders and Colonels will play a doubleheader on Saturday, April 5th, starting at 1 o'clock, and will wrap the series on Sunday, April 6th at noon. Uza's troops will then have a week free of non-conference affairs before playing host to Stephen F. Austin for a 3-game series. The Islanders and Lady Jacks will play a doubleheader on Saturday, April 12th at 1 p.m. before finishing the series on Sunday, April 13th at noon. The women's tennis team face a busy stretch this week as they take on 3 teams at the Thomas J. Henry Tennis Center. The Islanders will play host to Prairie View on Thursday, April 3rd at 1 o'clock before a pair of conference matches over the weekend. Sam Houston State is in town for a matchup on Saturday, April 5th at 1 o'clock, and then Lamar will take on the Islanders on Sunday, April 6th at noon. Admission is free for all matches at the Henry Tennis Center. Men's tennis returns to conference play next week in a big way, facing a trio of conference foes in a span of 4 days. The Islanders will take on Lamar on Tuesday, April 8th in Beaumont before returning to the Henry Tennis Center for a pair of matches. On Thursday, April 10th, the Islanders will face Incarnate Word at 1 p.m. Then on Friday, April 11th, Nichols will come to town for a noon start. The Islanders track and field teams will play host to their second meet at the Dr. Jack Dugan Family Soccer and Track Stadium when the Country Inn & Suites Islanders Dash takes place on Saturday, April 5th. That will be an all-day event. The teams will then head to San Antonio for the University of Incarnate Word Invitational on Friday, April 11th and Saturday, April 12th. And finally, the Islanders golf team will head to the Southland Conference Championship on Tuesday, April 15th. The 3-day event will be played at High Meadow Ranch Golf Club in Magnolia, Texas, as the squad wraps its 2013-2014 campaign. Once again, we want to thank Willis Wilson, head coach of Islander basketball, and Scott Malone, the head coach of Islander baseball, joining us here in the locker room today. Of course, thank you to all of you for tuning in. You've been watching Islanders Insider.